You walk through the front door, drop your keys, hear the deadbolt click, and change out of your public clothes. Pay attention to what happens in your body right then. Your shoulders drop, your breathing slows. Society loves to hand out labels for this. They call you a homebody, a recluse, or just boring. They suggest that choosing your couch over a crowded room means you're wasting your life. But what if staying home isn't giving up on life? What if it's proof you finally figured out exactly how your brain works? If you genuinely prefer a quiet Saturday morning over a loud Friday night out, welcome. You are about to feel deeply understood. To understand why your living room feels like a sanctuary, we have to look at how your brain processes the world outside of it. Extroverts operate like human solar panels. They walk into a busy room, absorb the overlapping conversations, the loud music, and the unpredictable energy of the crowd, and they leave feeling electric. You operate on a completely flipped circuit. You generate your energy internally, and because you generate it internally, every single time you step outside, you spend it. Even at a quiet dinner with friends you actually like, your brain is working overtime. You are reading micro-expressions. You are processing the volume of the restaurant, the background noise, the temperature of the room, and the emotional state of the person sitting across from you. Psychologists refer to this as having a low threshold for sensory stimulation. Your brain does not filter out the noise. It absorbs absolutely everything. So when you politely decline an invitation, you aren't rejecting your friends. You are just looking at your internal battery, seeing it flashing at 5%, and choosing not to run yourself into the ground. But it goes much deeper than just energy levels. It comes down to your actual neurochemistry. The modern world is obsessed with dopamine. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter of anticipation, excitement, and novelty. It is the rush of a crowded nightclub, the thrill of a chaotic networking event, or the high of traveling to a new city. Extroverts and highly social people are essentially dopamine chasers. They need that friction to feel satisfied. But if you love staying home, your brain is likely wired to chase a completely different chemical, serotonin. Serotonin is the neurotransmitter of safety, calm, and deep contentment. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It is the feeling of having a warm cup of coffee in a completely silent kitchen. It is the profound satisfaction of a clean house and zero plans on a Sunday. Society celebrates dopamine because it looks great on social media. Serotonin doesn't make for a viral video. It looks like doing nothing. But neurologically, it is the deepest form of peace a human being can experience. When you choose to stay in, you aren't missing out on the fun. Your brain simply prefers the rich, quiet satisfaction of serotonin over the chaotic spike of dopamine. This chemical difference explains a very specific physical phenomenon you have almost certainly experienced: the post-social hangover. Think about the morning after you attend a large social gathering, like a wedding or a long family holiday. You didn't drink. You didn't do any heavy lifting. But you wake up feeling as though you were hit by a truck. Your limbs feel heavy. Your brain is foggy. Even the thought of answering a simple text message feels like climbing a mountain. This isn't in your head, it is a genuine physiological state. When you force a highly sensitive, low-stimulation brain into a high-friction environment for hours on end, your nervous system essentially redlines. You flood your system with cortisol just to keep up the performance. The social hangover is your body forcing you into a hard reset. It demands absolute zero-demand time. No talking, no decisions, just silence. This brings us to a concept in personality psychology pioneered by Dr. Brian Little called the restorative niche. It perfectly explains why your house is the only place that cures that hangover. All day, you are forced to adapt to environments you cannot control. You have to be professional at work, agreeable at the store, and constantly bend to fit the shape of the world. A restorative niche is a physical sanctuary where the adapting finally stops. At home, you are the absolute architect of your reality. You control the lights, the volume, the temperature. For a highly observant mind, this isn't a luxury, it's psychological survival. It is the only place on Earth where your autonomic nervous system can stop scanning for threats and return to a flat baseline. The outside world assumes that when you are in this space, you are just zoning out. wasting time. But neuroscience paints a wildly different picture. When you are home doing seemingly nothing, folding laundry, staring out the window, or just letting your mind wander, your brain activates something called the default mode network. This neural pathway only turns on when you stop focusing on external tasks, and it is entirely responsible for our highest levels of human creativity, deep problem solving, and self-reflection. Out in the loud world, you are reacting, you are surviving. But inside the quiet walls of your sanctuary, your brain finally has the space to connect the dots. It's why you suddenly come up with the perfect solution to a lingering problem while washing the dishes. It's why you finally understand a complex emotion while sitting silently on your patio. People who love staying home possess a massive psychological advantage. They actually know who they are. They spend enough time in the quiet to listen to their own thoughts. This preference for the quiet also radically changes how you approach relationships. There is a lazy misconception that homebodies simply don't like people. That couldn't be further from the truth. You crave human connection, but you have zero tolerance for surface-level interaction. Standard social rituals, like shouting over loud music just to ask someone what they do for a living, feel like a complete waste of oxygen. Instead, you curate a tiny, highly trusted inner circle. And you navigate these friendships through something psychologists call parallel play in adults. The highest compliment you can possibly pay someone is inviting them into your restorative niche. If you let a friend come over, sit on your couch, and just exist in the same room as you without feeling the pressure to constantly entertain them, that is profound trust. You might be reading a book while they scroll on their phone. No one is talking. To the outside world, it looks boring. To you, it is the absolute peak of human intimacy. You value depth and safety over volume and networking. However, there is a nuance we have to acknowledge. A sharp line between a sanctuary and a trap. If you stay home to avoid anxiety, to hide from potential failure, or because a quiet voice of depression is telling you there's no point in trying, that is not a restorative niche. That is isolation. A true homebody engages with the world, accomplishes what they need to, and actively returns to their house to recharge. Someone who is hiding never wants to leave at all, because reality feels entirely unmanageable. You have to ask yourself the brutal, honest question. Am I staying in tonight to protect my peace, or am I staying in to avoid my life? If you are doing it for the right reasons, you need to drop the guilt entirely. We live in a world that is spinning faster and getting louder every single day. A world that violently demands your constant attention. Choosing to lock your door, put on comfortable clothes, and find genuine joy in the quiet corners of your own home is a quiet rebellion. It is a sign of immense emotional maturity. A quiet life is not an empty life. In fact, it is often the richest life of all. Tell me down in the comments, what is your absolute favorite quiet ritual about staying home? The one small thing that instantly brings you peace. Let's prove just how many of us there really are. And if you want to understand the deeper psychology behind why your mind works the way it does, hit subscribe. We have a lot more to talk about.